Pratt Street riots really represents a very significant aspect of a major national trauma. The complete sort of splitting apart of the country on a very significant and most important issue, which was basically slavery. As we approach April 19th, Baltimore is a place of great tension and contention over the future of Maryland, whether it's going to be a slave state, secede, go south, whether it's going to stay in the Union. This is a rather dangerous place to be.
So here we are in a place that really is essential to understanding the Civil War. It's called now the Civil War Museum, but it used to be 150 years ago in 1861, the President Street Depot. Remember, in early April, South Carolina had fired on a federal installation, and Lincoln called up some troops, and these troops were coming from Massachusetts to protect Washington.
They're outsiders in a way that Baltimoreans would naturally have resented. They were very much resentful of Union troops using Baltimore as a viaduct, if you will, to Washington and the defense of the Capitol, the strengthening of the Lincoln administration.
So when these troops, and there were some 700, a regiment, from Massachusetts arrived in Baltimore at this very place 150 years ago, they had to transfer to another station, the Camden station.
They have to get in carriages, or they have to be transported by carts or walk, and most of them were walking pretty fast.
They had to cross the center of the city. They had to march along Pratt Street for a pretty good distance, the better part of a mile. So they were vulnerable.
And in this process, a mob appears. They're throwing rocks.
In here, you have these poor soldiers coming through. Soldiers are scared. The noise gets louder, the people get more contentious, pushing and shoving, yelling.
It was not a collection of rowdies. These were pro-Southern people who were actually of the middle and better sort of Baltimore citizen.
And then somebody fires.
And the result is the first casualties of the Civil War. Not only soldiers are killed, but there were civilian casualties.
It evokes the Boston Massacre, 1770, where you have armed troops firing on supposedly unarmed and innocent civilians.
This is an iconic event in Baltimore history. It looked as if this city, and therefore the state of Maryland, would support the Confederacy. So Lincoln and his administration are thinking, by golly, we've got to do something to, in fact, prevent the secession of Maryland. Maryland was a Union state by allegiance, and this riotous event that involved only 159 rioters and 700 of the Massachusetts regiment was an exception.